Alexander's Journey to the East. A Tale of Ambition. Alexander the Great's journey to the East was one of history's most remarkable expeditions, driven by a blend of personal ambition, strategic genius, and an insatiable curiosity about the unknown. From the shores of the Hellespont to the rivers of India, Alexander's campaign reshaped the ancient world, creating a legacy that would endure for centuries. His journey was a tale not only of conquest but of transformation, as he pushed beyond the boundaries of the known world, leaving an indelible mark on the cultures and territories he encountered. Chapter 1. The Call to Conquer. From a young age, Alexander was instilled with a sense of destiny. Educated by Aristotle and inspired by the legends of Achilles and Hercules, he believed he was destined for greatness. When his father, King Philip II, was assassinated in 336 BCE, Alexander ascended to the throne of Macedon at the age of 20. His father had united Greece, but Alexander's ambitions reached further, to Persia, the largest and wealthiest empire of the ancient world. In 334 BCE, Alexander crossed the Hellespont into Asia Minor with an army of 40,000. This crossing marked the beginning of his journey to the east, a campaign that would take him thousands of miles from home and challenge him in ways he could not have foreseen. For Alexander, Persia was more than just a rival. It was a prize that would establish him as a ruler of unrivaled power and legacy. Chapter 2. The First Battles in Asia Minor. Alexander's initial encounters in Asia Minor were a prelude to the battles that lay ahead. His first significant clash came at the Battle of Granicus, where he faced the Persian satraps guarding Asia Minor. Leading a bold charge across the river, Alexander's forces overwhelmed the Persians, securing his first major victory on Asian soil. This victory opened the doors to Asia Minor, allowing him to march unchallenged through the region. City after city surrendered to him, and he began to establish his control over the local administration. With each success, Alexander's reputation grew, and his soldiers' belief in his vision strengthened. These early victories fueled his ambition, solidifying his determination to push further into the heart of Persia. Chapter 3. The Siege of Tyre and the Path to Egypt. After securing Asia Minor, Alexander moved southward along the Levantine coast, where he encountered the fortified island city of Tyre. Refusing to surrender, Tyre presented a significant obstacle. Alexander, undeterred, launched one of his most ambitious sieges. Over 7 months, he constructed a massive causeway across the sea, connecting the mainland to the island, and finally breached the city's defenses. The fall of Tyre was a turning point in Alexander's campaign, securing his control over the eastern Mediterranean and demonstrating his unbreakable resolve. From Tyre, he marched into Egypt, where he was welcomed as a liberator. The Egyptians, who resented Persian rule, hailed Alexander as pharaoh, and he traveled to the oracle of Ammonius at Siwa. Here, he was proclaimed the son of Zeus Ammon, a divine title that cemented his belief in his destiny as a god-king. In Egypt, he founded the city of Alexandria, envisioning it as a cultural and commercial hub that would bridge east and west. Alexandria would later become one of the ancient world's greatest cities, embodying Alexander's vision of a unified empire where Greek and Eastern traditions could coexist. Chapter 4. The Battle of Issus and the Pursuit of Darius. With Egypt under his control, Alexander turned his attention to the Persian heartland. In 333 BCE, he faced Darius III, the Persian king, at the Battle of Issus. The narrow battlefield favored Alexander's smaller army, allowing him to negate Darius's numerical advantage. Leading a direct assault on the Persian center, Alexander forced Darius to flee, leaving behind his army and family. This victory was a significant blow to Persian morale and a defining moment in Alexander's journey. The capture of Darius's family, whom he treated with respect, showed Alexander's sense of chivalry and diplomacy. But it was also a personal challenge. Darius had escaped, and Alexander's ambition drove him to pursue the Persian king deeper into his empire. Chapter 5. Entering the Persian heartland and the Battle of Gaugamela. In 331 BCE, Alexander faced Darius for a second time at the Battle of Gaugamela, a decisive clash on the open plains. Darius had amassed a massive army, drawing soldiers from across his empire. Alexander's forces were outnumbered, but his tactical brilliance won the day. Through a series of feints and a daring cavalry charge, he broke through the Persian lines, forcing Darius to flee once again. The victory at Gaugamela shattered Persian resistance and gave Alexander control over the Persian heartland. He entered Babylon in triumph, followed by Susa and Persepolis. These cities represented the wealth and power of Persia, and Alexander's conquest of them was both a strategic and symbolic victory. His soldiers looted the riches of Persepolis, and, in a controversial act, Alexander ordered its ceremonial palaces burned, perhaps as revenge for Persia's earlier invasion of Greece. Chapter 6. The Pursuit of Darius and the Expansion into Central Asia. Despite his victories, Alexander was determined to capture Darius himself, seeing this as the ultimate conquest. He pursued the Persian king eastward through the harsh terrain of Bactria and Sogdiana. In these remote regions, Alexander encountered fierce resistance from local tribes, forcing him to adapt to new tactics and unfamiliar challenges. Eventually, Darius was betrayed and killed by his own men, denying Alexander the satisfaction of capturing him alive. Alexander arranged for a royal funeral, honoring Darius as a fellow king, and declared himself the rightful heir to the Persian throne. To solidify his rule, he began integrating Persian nobles into his administration and adopted elements of Persian dress and ceremony, a move that created tension with his Macedonian officers. Chapter 7. Into the Unknown, the Indian Campaign. With the Persian Empire under his control, Alexander's ambition turned even further eastward, to the mysterious lands of India. In 327 BCE, he crossed the Hindu Kush and entered the Indian subcontinent, where he encountered new and formidable adversaries. The Battle of the Hydaspes in 326 BCE, fought against King Porus and his war elephants, was one of Alexander's most challenging battles. Although victorious, Alexander was impressed by Porus's bravery and granted him control over his kingdom as a satrap. However, the Indian campaign tested the limits of his army's endurance. The unfamiliar monsoon climate and difficult terrain wore on the Macedonian soldiers, many of whom had not seen their homes in years. When Alexander expressed his desire to push further east, his men mutinied, refusing to march any further. Reluctantly, Alexander agreed to turn back, marking the eastern limit of his conquests. Chapter 8. The Return Journey and the Gedrosian Desert. On the journey back, Alexander led his men through the Gedrosian Desert, one of the most grueling legs of his campaign. Harsh desert conditions and a lack of supplies led to severe losses, with many soldiers perishing from dehydration and exhaustion. The desert crossing was a test of endurance, underscoring the cost of Alexander's ambition. By the time they reached Babylon, Alexander's army was a shadow of its former self. The trials of the desert and years of constant warfare had taken their toll. Alexander, though still determined to expand his empire, began planning for its governance, envisioning a realm where Greek and Eastern cultures could coexist. Chapter 9. The Final Days and Unfinished Plans. In 324 BCE, Alexander returned to Babylon, where he began consolidating his empire and organizing grand plans for future campaigns, including a possible invasion of Arabia. He introduced policies to integrate his empire, including the marriages of his officers to Persian women and the appointment of Persian officials to high-ranking positions. These measures aimed to create a sense of unity among his diverse subjects, though they were met with resistance from his Macedonian followers. However, in 323 BCE, Alexander fell ill. After days of fever, he died in Babylon at the age of 32, leaving his empire without a clear successor. His death marked the end of his journey, but his legacy would live on through the cultural and political transformations he had set in motion. Epilogue. The legacy of Alexander's ambition. Alexander's journey to the east was more than a campaign of conquest. It was a vision of a unified world. His dream of a culturally integrated empire, where East and West would coexist, inspired the Hellenistic Age, a period marked by the blending of Greek and Eastern traditions. The cities he founded, particularly Alexandria in Egypt, became centers of learning, commerce, and cultural exchange. Though his empire fragmented after his death, the influence of his journey endured. Hellenistic culture spread across the Mediterranean and Near East, shaping art, science, philosophy, and governance for centuries. Alexander's tale of ambition and exploration became a symbol of the human spirit's relentless drive to push beyond the known world, to conquer not only lands but also the boundaries of culture and understanding.